Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Kennedytz.mp4. First, the national news. The National Assembly has endorsed formation of a selected committee to probe yesterday's decision by Chief Secretary Philemon Luhanjo to announce findings of an investigation on the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Energy and Minerals, David Gyro. Here are the details on the report.
The Permanent Secretary was given paid leave to allow inquiry on claims that he wrote a memo for contributions from the ministry's departments and institutions to facilitate approval of his ministry's budget for the year 2011-2012. Following a motion by Kigoma North Member of Parliament, Kabwe Zito, the legislators said since the whole issue originated from the August House, the pillar should have been the first to be notified on the findings before they were published. He noted that the move by the Chief Secretary to announce that the probe by Controller and Auditor General found there were no wrongdoings committed by the Permanent Secretary and ordering him to resume work today before the House was notified offended one of the state pillars in the country. Announcing the decision of the House, the Deputy Speaker Job Ndungai said the selected committee will be announced by the Speaker on Friday before the House adjourns its budget session.
Meanwhile, the Permanent Secretary to the Ministry of Energy and Minerals, David Gyro, was accorded a rousing welcome and ululation by his ministry's staff when he returned to resume work today. Here's a report.
In his remarks, Mr. Gyro said he has no hatred with anybody and has forgiven all for what has happened and has no intention of taking any action. The Minister for Energy and Minerals, William Ngeleja, said what happened was the rule of law after finding that there was any wrongdoings committed by the Permanent Secretary.
Defence and security forces of Zanzibar Port have seized a consignment of more than 1,000 elephant tusks in 2 containers bound for Malaysia. Here is a report.
Speaking at a news conference, Zanzibar Police Chief Martin Lissu said the containers were seized following suspicions that they contained bags of sardines. However, he said after opening the containers, it was found that the bags contained between 8 and 10 elephant tusks, adding that 2 people, including a shipping agent, have been arrested in connection with the cargo. The other man arrested is a Chinese worker of the consignment owner based in Dar es Salaam.
Tanzania has challenged African countries to use information and communication technology, ICT, for economic and social activities, particularly in rural areas, to expand market and input access for farmers. Here are the details.
The challenge was made by President Jakaya Kikwete when opening the 6th annual conference on connecting rural communities in Africa, organized by the Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization.
We have created an agency to handle or deal with rural electrification and rural connectivity. To facilitate the work of this agency, the government has established Universal Communication Access Fund to facilitate connectivity to rural and underserved urban areas in the country. In addition, the government, in collaboration with other stakeholders, is implementing programs to promote rural communications centers. We call them telecenters. They are located in various villages, and the people in the village can go there, have access to the internet, and have access to what ICT has to offer.
The Chief Executive Officer of Commonwealth Telecommunications Organization, Bashir Patel, said ICT aims to help African countries achieve Millennium Development Goals, including poverty eradication in rural areas.
70% of Africa's population still are in those rural areas. More than 60% of the nation's workforce is employed in agriculture and generates about 25% of the national earnings. This speaks volume for Africa, dependence on rural economy, and the need for enhancing rural connectivity. The lack of connectivity has been a serious problem, not only in the rural areas, but also in some of the suburban areas in many of the African countries.
The holding of this international event here in Tanzania is going to contribute greatly on the desire that we have in the country and the region of providing connectivity to underserved rural and urban areas.